All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into Diamond Talk presented by Thacker Jewelry. That's right. Set your sights on a diamond that absolutely outshines the rest. We're in the Arctic Air Studios tonight. Hopefully, your air is Arctic. If it is not, you need to call the bear, callthebear.com. And of course, all the communications tonight, whether you are watching this evening on YouTube, whether you're watching on Twitter, whether you're watching on Facebook Live, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be brought to you by United Supermarkets and Market Street, great supporters of Texas Tech. All right, we'll let a few folks get in. You know what to do. The early arrivals. Hey, jump on. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how the audio and the video is doing. Give us thumbs up. Whatever you want to do, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We want to hear from you tonight. So that's why we open all the communications for you. Thanks to United Supermarkets. 9-3 loss for Texas Tech was good until it wasn't. Does that sound familiar? It kind of sounds familiar. Yeah. It was good until it wasn't. We'll discuss that tonight. We'll get your thoughts on what happens from here. And the what happens from here is the immediate here, and then the extended here, and then the here that is next year. So all that for your discussion tonight. Glad you're hanging out with us a little bit late on a Saturday night. I know a lot of people got a lot of stuff to do. And that's why the replay people, we love the replay people. Thumbs up, shout out to the replay people that you guys are able to watch. And we archive everything we do at theraiderland.com, where you're going to go in the morning for our column 5 things we know on a Sunday. So we'll get our thoughts, we'll get our comments in. You guys can fire away questions, comments, thoughts on anything else as we go through tonight. Here's to you from the Arctic Air Studio. Diamond Talk brought to you by Thacker Jewelry in Lubbock. So, first things first, the game itself, Kyle Robinson was absolute 100% nails. Everything you would want your number one starter to be. And he's your number one starter. And I know Tom Holliday on the TV broadcast, the incredibly underachieving head coach at Oklahoma State, who once called one of his own players a cancer after he shoved him up against the dugout wall at the 1997 Big 12 tournament, said, that he didn't understand the idea of sending your best guy out on Saturday. Well, we can understand that because you totally underachieved at Oklahoma State as a head coach. But Kyle Robinson goes out, and he was everything you would want him to be tonight and more. He gave you courage on the mound. He gave you 6 innings of great work. That his record is 4-7, by the way, is an absolute just travesty. He strikes out 11, walks 2, 3 runs, all of them earned on 5 hits with 1 hit batter. And he was with 119 pitches, 16 of them against Wolford there in the 7th. And, that was a seminal moment in this game for sure, with that extended at-bat that ended up in a single for Wolford top of the 7th. And then, that was going to be it for Robinson. But Robinson was, again, a little bit of the poster child for this team this year. That at once he was really good. The pitching was really good. And then after that, obviously, you end up giving multiple runs. You give up a couple of home runs in the inning, and you get beat 9-3. And the bullpen can't do anything. And we talked about the injuries. We talked about the accelerated status of players and everything else this year. And you saw that again tonight, that you had to send out players in a high leverage situation. And Sanders, who's been pretty good for the most part this year, just not able to get it done tonight. So you end up getting beat. So where are you now? And the offense, well, I mean, you scored 3 runs. What do you want? Let's go to the situational stats again tonight on the comparison, and we can talk about that. Texas Tech on the night, Red Raider hitting 7 of 34. That's 206. That's not good. They were 314, 11 of 35. 2 outs, you were 3 of 12. They were 3 of 11 runners on, 2 of 10. They were 5 of 16. Runners in scoring position, well, you only had 3 chances. You got 1 in. And then runners on third, less than 2 outs, 0 of 1. They were 1 of 3. Bases loaded. You never had the bases loaded tonight. They were 0 of 1. So advancement opportunities, which is a great stat that we probably don't talk enough about in games, Advancement opportunities. Oklahoma State tonight, 9 for 19, 479, 474 average. Tech 2 of 10 on advancement opportunities. Your pitching tonight was great until it didn't matter. You ended up, by the way, having to throw 199 total pitches. Your strike percentage was 61.8. There's a 65.6. The Brian Holiday kid, no relation. He was like a left-handed, a miniature left-handed version as a right-hander, like a crafty lefty, but he throws right-handed and he has pretty good velocity. No relation to the Holidays who run the program, by the way. He was really good. But yeah, it was like watching a little left-hander out there. It was really, really interesting watching him pitch. So we get to where we are tonight. You lose the series. If you are Texas Tech and you want to make the NCAA tournament, you have to win the Big 12 tournament. So tomorrow doesn't matter. Next week at Tempe does not matter. There's nothing you can do against Arizona State and UNLV next weekend. And then, of course, you've got to make the Big 12 tournament, which you're holding off Baylor. Thankfully, Baylor and Tech are in this race to the bottom right now on who can lose more games faster. Baylor got beat by Oklahoma 9-1, so they're down 0-2 their series. But Baylor still has one more Big 12 series to try to catch you. And remember, it's all based on winning percentage. It's all based on winning percentage, not games, but winning percentage. Anybody want to rain out tomorrow? I mean, if I'm Texas Tech, I go back, and this is the problem with Oklahoma State now having artificial turf. When I go back to the hotel, I'd pound a 6 or a 12 or maybe get a 2 for a couple of guys, and we get the Uber over to O'Brate. We break in, we turn on the sprinklers, except it's a freaking artificial surface, and you can't even get a rain out. They moved the game up from 2-1 because there's rain. Maybe the best thing that could happen is you get rained out. You can't lose, and you get a half-game winning percentage on Baylor going into next week. Man. So, yeah, it's win the tournament or bust. That's one reason why I think you went as deep as you did pitch count with Kyle Robinson, because, quite frankly, you really don't have to pitch him next week. You're going to give him next week off and pitch him in the Big 12 tournament. And if that's the way they want to play it next week, that's fine by me. All right, we'll get into your questions and comments tonight. Thanks to United Supermarkets, Market Street. There's one near you. Check out the ad specials. They've always got great stuff, particularly in the meat section. We used to call it the butcher shop. They got that. And, if you didn't get Mom a card today, you can get Mom a card tomorrow early at United Supermarkets. Barbara, the season is a wash. Tired of the program not making any positive moves as far as getting another pitching coach. Barbara, pitching has been good enough to win this year. I know people don't believe it and don't like hearing it, but it really has been. Oh, after the Robinson, you got a bunch of guys that shouldn't be pitching tonight that were pitching in high leverage. It ain't pitching, except it is. It ain't hitting, except it is. It's everything. This is a group effort for this team. So, Barbara, if you want to get rid of Matt Gardner, then tell me, why you want to get rid of him and why you want to get rid of Tim Tadlock's guy and what the next guy is going to do different. Tell me what the next guy will do different that Tim Tadlock wants the next guy to do. Now, Tim Tadlock wants to make, a change in whatever philosophy, but Matt Gardner does what Tim Tadlock wants. So when you say get rid of him, why didn't anybody say get rid of Eric Gutierrez or get rid of J. Bob Thomas? I never hear that. It's easy to blame the pitching coach when you just had a guy go out and pitch nails tonight. Sorry, I'm not buying that. Steve, I'm a football fan. Can we replace that Tadlock guy with a meat judging coach? We need more title. Yeah. Was it Gray? I can't remember his name right now. Chris, wait, you mean where we thought we were? Wait, you mean where we thought we were after fourth Big 12? I have no idea what you mean, Chris. Speak cogently. Chris, what's next for Tech baseball? Oklahoma State tomorrow, no midweek. You go to Arizona State and Tempe after that, and this is the Big 12 tournament. There's a reason we're at the bottom. You're not at the bottom. not at the top, but you're not at the bottom. Hillary says it's an everything problem. I'm wondering if there just isn't someone in the locker room who will step up and claim and lead this team. It's too late. This team, and we talked about it starting about a month or so ago, that this team belonged to nobody. That was a problem with this team. That there was not a guy that was taking control of this team that you sat there and said, there was no guy that you said, all right, we want him on the mound in a great situation. We want this guy at the plate in a great situation. That some teams never develop that way. This team never developed that way. Nobody ever took control of this team. Every team, and for those who've been around, on the inside of teams and sports and different stuff at a high level, you see this sometimes. Some teams just never really gel. That they're a collection of individual talent that's good, that never becomes, better than good at any given time beyond the individual talent. This lineup never stretched out. Tim Tadlock, tried everything he could this year, and he does. People are acting like this year was like the first year Tim Tadlock ever made changes with the lineup. He does it every year. Never found itself. Never stretched out, really. Alan, I'm watching Darkest Hour tonight. Is it about Tech baseball or Winston Churchill? I do like the fact that Tech baseball Darkest Hour these days is, borderline postseason and stuff like that. I do like that. That's good. I love expectations. I love fans having expectations. I temper it with reality. I temper it with context. I temper it with 35 years of doing this and understanding what happens. Not to demean your feelings. If you want to get all in your feels, that's fine. You do that. The fake Natalie mates. Well, just once I'd like Natalie, whom I know we've met, to actually chime in on the show. She's probably not going to do it. She got Matt. Well, anyway. I feel like baseball or basketball is the only big three of the sports that developed this year for Tech sports. I thought football didn't regress. I thought football did some things. Men's basketball certainly didn't regress. Baseball regress, yeah. Hillary, yep, agreed. Been there and I've seen it firsthand. Hopefully they'll find themselves in the future. You really need to find yourself. If you out there have not found yourself, I highly recommend finding yourself. If you're on Twitter, if you are on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, share this, invite some friends in. We're talking Texas Tech baseball tonight. It's Big 12 tournament or bust right now. You got to win the Big 12 to get in the NCAA tournament. You're not going to make it as an at-large. You might not make the Big 12 tournament, but thankfully Baylor sucks as much as you do right now in doing that. So great night for Kyle Robinson. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed watching that happen tonight. Can I say again, I've said this on Twitter the last two nights, ESPN owes you guys money back if you had to listen to Tom Holliday, former Oklahoma State head coach, daddy to the current head coach. That guy is a joke in the booth. He makes no pretense. It's like he's doing in-stadium play-by-play or thinks he's on just an OSU broadcast. The Big 12 deserves better, and coaches and administrators need to demand better. When you watch an ESPN Plus broadcast from Texas Tech, with John Harris and Mike Gustafson or whoever it might be, they do a great job of being down the middle, fairly complimentary. Now, you can tell they're Tech guys, but they've actually done homework and preparation, and they give credit. Same thing with UT. I know what you're saying. What? Yeah, even the UT broadcasters do a great job of presenting it fairly. If you watched Kansas and Texas Tech a couple of weeks ago, Brian Haney, former voice of the Red Raiders, was doing both radio and TV. They were dropping in the radio and TV. You couldn't tell that he was a Kansas broadcaster. It's a joke in 2024 on ESPN Plus that you've got a guy like Tom Holliday doing these games. And people say, well, you're just, complaining because Tech's lost it. No. It's been going on a while. I don't get it. I don't know why they allow that to happen. But and that's part of the problem with baseball. Baseball people in the Big 12 over the years, the baseball people haven't stood up for baseball nearly strong enough. They hadn't fought hard to get things done. And I don't know, but what a joke! What a joke to have that guy on. Let's see, Chris. I muted the audio. Oh, Baylor sucks. Has nothing to do with baseball. I see what you did there. Muted the audio. Much better experience. I had because I can multitask. I had like 3 audio streams going, video. Listen to Jeff and Jamie there on the Tech Network and everything else. What's next for Tech? Big picture, Chris says. I don't know. Big picture. What do you mean? You try to make the Big 12 tournament? You try to win the Big 12 tournament? Then in the off season, you go recruit. You try to get, I think, older, more experienced, better pitchers via the portal. I still like the approach of getting quality high school and younger players, position players, and allowing them to be 3-year guys like Jace Young and Josh Young. I think that's still the recipe. But I think from a pitching standpoint, you want to, like in basketball now, get old, stay old, and then just get better. Not, big picture, yeah. Craig Way could call any game and be a professional. Yes, he could. You could sit him right down, and he could call Ropes versus Spire, and you'd think it was the NFC Championship game. He's that good. Alan, I'm not up on baseball recruiting, but is Tech competitive NIL to attract portal transfers? Yeah, they got plenty of money. Tim Tadlock talked about it on his coaches show the other day a little bit. Kind of a bit of a nod to the idea of being maybe more aggressive or whatever you want to say in that. But I mean, Gavin Cash came to you through the portal. You had transfers from Arkansas a couple of years ago, Easton Morrell, Bryce Bonin, your third baseman this year. It's not like they've shunned the portal or anything else. There's plenty of money for that. I think people asphyxiated. They choked to death. When White and when Molina went to Arkansas, everybody's, oh my God, they're getting money whipped. Yeah, maybe. Molina's imploded as the season's gone on as their Sunday guy. And Hudson White, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't going to be your catcher this year. So people kind of freaked out on that. I'm like, no, not that big a deal. What am I? Harris and Gus are great. Yeah. Harris is a great professional. Gus is just dude. No, I'm just kidding. Mike Gustafson, who I called his Texas Tech baseball games when he was playing, somewhere's audio, and I don't know if Gus can find this. He's got video. His dad used to videotape VHS, like in the stands, that guy, all of Gus's games when you could do that as a parent in college. And they would drop in the radio call. And somewhere Gus has got audio of me in 89 or 90, maybe 89. I call my first baseball games in 89 for Tech. And he's got audio that I would love to hear it. 2, I really don't want to hear it. I really don't know that I want to hear that. But he's got no. Gus has really done a great job becoming a broadcaster. He's worked hard at it. He's really conversational now. He doesn't try to be anything he's not. I've really and if anybody can tell Mike, I had to text him and say whatever, but does a good job. Gus wrote a great book on Coach Magel, Bobby Magel, Bobcat. Yeah. Gus is a smart guy. He's like math guy and analytical and everything else. He was too smart to play good college baseball. He was on a bus trip to Waco. He's the only guy read a book that didn't have everything colored in on it. So that's how good Gus is. But yeah, the old Tom Holliday thing just really pisses me off on that front. Let's see other things. It's win the tournament or but. I mean, there's really not a lot to analyze at this point as far as the ins and out of this game tonight. You still hadn't hit nearly well enough. 16-4 last night, 3 tonight. We went over the comparison stats. I don't know. You had the Tracer Lopez home run answer. That was nice. Green had the home run early. And, Lopez gets the home run there in the latter innings after you give up some. You're thinking, okay, well, you got a little something. No, nothing else happens. Consider nobody with more than one hit tonight other than Austin Green. As far as pitching goes, Sanders, well, you know what happened there. Faced 3 batters and gave up a couple of earned runs with the home run. Lysick. And at that point, nothing else really mattered. After Sanders goes in, Tim Tadlock and they're coaching for the Big 12 tournament. That's all there is to it. Well, in a way, because you still got to get there. So tomorrow does matter. Tomorrow does matter for Texas Tech, that if you can get one last Big 12 win, that it will give you some cushion against Baylor. So let's see. I think we've got everything. Everything should be fine. Everything's final tonight. So if we've updated it, yeah, you're at 414 on the winning percentage. Remember, winning percentage, not games. Winning percentage will determine the standings. So you're at 414. If you could win one tomorrow and get to 13 and 17, you put a lot of pressure on Baylor. And I think if you could win tomorrow, and I don't know exactly how that transpires, you might be able to hold off Baylor to get to the Big 12 tournament. And then, as we like to say, anything's possible, kids, except it's probably not. Texas Tech has not had great success at the Big 12 tournament since 1998, the inaugural year at the Bricktown Ballpark. So, even if you make the Big 12 tournament, where this team is now, the limited arms, everything else, what it takes to get through, it's win. It's win the tournament. It's not like, oh, if you had a good tournament run. No. It's win. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts tonight? We appreciate you guys jumping on, hanging out on a Saturday night. There was great excitement today in the world of Major League Baseball. We want to talk about that. You guys know what we're talking about, right? You do, right? Who made their Major League debut today? Well, Paul Skeens for the Pittsburgh Pirates from LSU last year. He's a 7'8" tall, and I'm trying to get the line here: 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks, and a home run. Huge in the gambling world, in the sports betting world today. The strikeout props, which were everywhere from 10 to 6.5. He's been striking out the world. But what's really interesting about Paul Skeens, I did not know this until this weekend. Major League Baseball now has their version of Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Y'all know who Paul Skeens is dating? Y'all know who his significant other is? That's right. It's the one and only Olivia Dunn, LSU gymnast, the queen of NIL. Maybe the most highly paid NIL performer in the United States. So we now have Paul Skeens and Olivia Dunn going to Pittsburgh. Major League Baseball, you're so lucky. It'll be all over Instagram. It'll be all over Outkick.com, screen caps, everything else. I had no idea they were a thing, which is funny because she's, this little diminutive kid, and he's this big kid and everything else. But there you go. So yeah, Skeens makes his debut on the what would it be, like the 53rd anniversary or whatever of John David Clyde making his debut or second start for the Rangers in a win, I think, against the Detroit Tigers. So there we go. I'm trying to come up with something positive to talk about. You guys fire away questions, comments, thoughts, everything else. One of my friends on Twitter this afternoon said, "Yeah, I was calling this earlier on. You called me football guy." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, good call, football guy." I'll still say, and when I use the term football guy, it's a derogative term to people who overreact, particularly early on. in baseball, but who overreact to any singular event or early singular events. And my friend was like, "Yeah, I called. I knew something was wrong." Good job. Hey, yeah, there were a lot of people that were sitting there in March saying something's not right, and I applaud you. If you say the world's going to end every day, one of the days the world ends, you're right. But the history of Texas Tech baseball is that Texas Tech usually finds itself as it goes along. And that's why, up until maybe 3 weeks ago, I think the TCU Arkansas weekend is when we're like, okay, this is not, it's just not coming around. It's a bridge too far. The injuries, everything else. But this was a team that was 12-9 in Big 12 play before they were 12-17 now. So you can go back just a couple of weeks and say, all right, there's still time for this to turn around. Now there's not. So, and this is when, as baseball guy, you look at football guy and say, all right, well, you're right. You didn't enjoy the ride. I've enjoyed the ride. It's not been fun, I guess. I don't know. I'm not involved in it. But that's just my baseball mentality versus some others. Barbara, what about the Lady Raider recruits? Do you think they are thumbs up? I don't know. I hadn't seen them play. You get in a local kid coming back, JUCO, fairly high level JUCO kid. We're going to find out. They seem to be on the ratings higher, maybe, than what we've seen in the program the last couple of years. They need to be. It's a program that needs to be in the postseason next year. For Krista Gerlich's, standpoint, I think she's been given great latitude as well as she should. Like every program, you get a few injuries and some bad luck, and I think Kirby Hocutt looks at that. But I think you also have to take the harsh reality standpoint and go, you need to be in the postseason next year. You need to make the NCAA tournament. I think that's something that the program is comfortable with. And when I talk to people that are a lot smarter than I am about women's basketball recruiting or anything, they tell me, Barbara, that this is a good roster that's being put together and that it's going to have a chance to be capable of making the NCAA tournament. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I know anything and all that about it. Not doing Lady Raider basketball calls since 2016. I've kind of divested myself a little bit out of that, and I enjoy watching from afar as a fan and just kind of root them on. And I guess well, 9:58. Mark Finkner is asleep by now. Voice of the Lady Raiders, Mark Finkner. He's probably asleep by now. I ain't gonna wake him up. He's been calling baseball for Angelo State this weekend. How about that? And my phone didn't ring. My old baseball partner, all he could have done, hey, I would have turned him down. But he could have at least asked, you want to do some color with me? Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I think it's promising. We'll see. Recruiting anymore for me, I'm too old to worry about recruiting. I worry about who shows up. I worry about how healthy they are a month out from the season. And then I really worry about who puts on the uniform and plays. And that's not to value recruiting. Recruiting is huge. Recruiting is everything. That doesn't devalue and demean recruiting. No, it's just I've only got so many hours in the day to keep up with so much stuff. It's a lot easier for me to just turn it on and go, okay, who's here? Who's ready to play? And I'm that way in football and have been that way for many years. Don Williams will attest to that from the old Williams and Hyatt show. And now with the transfer portal and with everything else, I'm even more that way. Call me when we're getting ready to play. Who's on the team? Who's healthy? Let's go. Don't get the paper. You listen to me. Well, you were so hideously uninformed, Barbara. It's scary if that is the case. Oh, man. I didn't get the door shut, by the way. Very good here to the Arctic Air Studios, which are fantastically Arctic tonight and doing good. And so now we got one cat. How you doing over there? One cat has made his way into the Arctic Air Studios. which I'm surprised he hadn't tried to jump up here and be a part of the program. Oh yeah, that's a big yawn up there, Finch. Yeah. And I think one of the dogs is out there just eyeballing from outside. Very dangerous when you do these things out of the home studio here in the Arctic Era Studios. All right, last chance to get in. Your thoughts, Texas Tech baseball. Tomorrow matters from the standpoint of you still got to make the Big 12 tournament, to have any sort of chance. And what happens? I have no idea. No clue. Just, you tell me. I did not hear a starter announced, and I didn't hear all the post-game show tonight, and I apologize. Sorry, Jeff. Sorry, Jamie. They're going to go with Carson Bench, who hit a home run tonight, by the way. And then I don't know who to use with Hewer out. Erdman probably would be the guy I go with, and we go from there. Facebook people have been good. Twitter people, ton of people on Twitter. Y'all have been good. We appreciate y'all. YouTube people. Alan, one of the YouTube people. We appreciate that. Hey, Alan, what's the deal about the hockey team? And I know you're not in Utah anymore. He used to be in Utah. He used to be a Salt Lake City kind of guy. They're getting a hockey team. I guess the Coyotes are coming up from Arizona or something. And the team name, somebody the other day was saying they need to be the Yetis. I'm like, yeah, why could you not be the Yetis? The Utah Yetis, the Ice Yetis. How cool would that be? He's probably not even watching right now. I feel like I'm leaving something out that I wanted to get to. Okay, maybe one of the last points that when you look at the total conference this year, the Big 12's down. Oklahoma's the only team that barely has a legitimate shot at hosting, and the RPI for them, and it's not doing too much better today than yesterday. They are sitting now on our D1Baseball.com at 17. I feel like that has not been updated. Give me half a second. Let me see if that can update for us. And yeah, okay, 17. If you're the Big 12 champ, and they will be, that's good enough to host. But beyond that, this league has just not been very good this year. It out of conference, it wasn't that great. And it didn't hurt Tech because Tech wasn't good enough to make up for it on the backside. Yeah, it certainly didn't help Texas Tech this year. You sit there and go, well, wow, you might not even make the Big 12 tournament a down year. Yeah. I think that is a further indictment of this season and how it's not played out the way people thought it would. But you do it just feels like 2015 to me, and that Tech team didn't make the tournament. It was, I think the Big 12 only had 3 teams in the NCAA tournament that year, if I remember right. And somebody can fact check me. That's cool. I appreciate when you guys do it because it saves me time. But it kind of has that feeling. Now, in 2015, when you didn't make the tournament, you actually did pretty decent in Big 12 play, but you couldn't beat anybody in the midweeks. You had a bad non-conference strength of schedule, and you just didn't do well in the midweeks because you were still transitioning into the era of we need to overstaff our pitching staff. You just didn't have enough arms. And those who think Tim Tadlock doesn't adjust, he didn't do anything, Tim Tadlock immediately adjusted and expended much more scholarship capital on pitching than he was doing on hitting. And he brought in more quality arms, and he brought in more depth. For those who say, well, he hates the portal, he's not going to do anything. Well, he's got guys out of the portal for the last several years. Well, he's not. Yeah, he hates NIL. He's not doing anything. I think that's going to take care of itself. There seems to be this thing that Tim Tadlock has never done anything different, doesn't ever make adjustments, and that's just not true. That's just people not paying attention to what goes on within the program. I think part of the problem is Tim gives this aw shucks, and that's part of his deal, everything on an even keel, never too up, never too down. But he kind of gives off this aw shucks thing, And it lies just actually how much stuff he really does. If I were his PR consultant, and I'm not, he doesn't want one. Uh, certainly not me. But yeah, I don't think maybe that people understand how much he does different. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Mother's Day is tomorrow. We've got baccalaureate for my son tomorrow, and we've got a lot of moving parts. I intend to do, and they've moved up the game 1 o'clock. We may not have baseball tomorrow, depending on the weather, and I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world if it gets rained out. And I don't know if Tech bust or flew. If they bust, there's obviously no flight that they've got to catch out of there. If they chartered, I don't know. You got a window there. But anyhow, just kind of hang with us tomorrow and let's see what the day does. And we may do something late afternoon, depending on how it all plays out and everything else. But I make no promises. That's why I wanted to make sure we get on tonight. So I appreciate this. I want everybody, if you can, share this. We are going to archive it as we're wont to do at theraiderland.com. We'll have our column tomorrow morning. 5 things we know on a Sunday, not 3, not 6. The counting of 4 is right out. 5 is the number. We'll have that. I hope you guys can share that and put it out there and everything else that we do, So appreciate you guys jumping on tonight. We enjoyed the broadcast. Been a lot of fun. Tonight. And hopefully tomorrow we can be there.